The Z to Z Podcast.
Good generic time of the day. Welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Tarragon Allen, and thank you so much for listening. I'll be filling in for Brandon this week as he's away on holiday in Mexico. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. On this show... Wow, that's still going. On this show, we have a special guest in Jack Watling, otherwise known as WebChimp UK, one of the developers from TrueAchievements itself. We also talk about the new Rare Achievement sound, which you just heard, along with some adventures with Amazon that Crandy went through, so we'll see what that's all about. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 43. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter, at Z2Z, that's ZEDTOZED, or email us directly at contact@z2z.com. Today's show is brought to you by the achievement That Took Forever from the game Samurais vs. Zombies Defense on Windows 8. This achievement requires you to get all 50 waves in the game, this game being a tower defense type game, to level 99. Each wave goes up a level each time you complete it. Therefore, you need to play every single wave 99 times in order to get it to level 99. This takes an incredibly large amount of time and is quite a ridiculous achievement. Some estimate that the game will take between 150 to potentially 350 hours to complete just because of this one achievement. Special thanks to developer and publisher Glue Mobile for that travesty of an achievement. And special thanks to Philip Wendell for sending us that suggestion. He's currently listening through our episodes and is up to episode 16, according to him at the time of writing. So it may be a little while before he gets to this, but thank you for that. A few things before we get started on the show proper. Over on our forums, we have a number of contests that are running and started for October. First of all is the October Gamertag Challenge for Facial Lafleur. If you're interested in competing in that one, get over and check it out on our forums at discourse.z2z.com. That's ZEDTOZED. We also have for the month of October the Dead Rising Challenge. So get playing Dead Rising and earn some achievements, killing those zombies. Also ongoing is the Z2Z Great Random To-Do List. You can find links to all of these contests and challenges in the show notes. A couple more things before we move on. Doughboy is running a raffle related to his Extra Life campaign this year. Anyone who follows and retweets his tweet about it will get one entry in a prize draw for Forza Horizon 3, and also anyone who donates to his Extra Life campaign will get more entries as well. There will be a link to his page in the show notes, but you can also just search for Doughboy and you should be able to find him. Finally, listener BME7 has actually challenged me personally to maintain a streak for as long as possible, or at least up to 30 days. It turns out that we both hit our 10-day streak on the same day, so he decided to challenge me to see how long we can go. He's actually also offered to donate $10 to the podcast if I beat him, so challenge accepted. And thanks for that awesome challenge. With me today I have Joe.
Hello. I'm not falling asleep, honest.
That's good. Randy.
Hello.
And we've got a special guest today, Jack Watling, otherwise known as WebChimp UK from TrueAchievements. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, thank you.
That's good. So firstly, Randy, you have a Dead Rising story to tell us. What's that all about?
I thought, this is kind of a funny story. A few people in chat will know that this has been ongoing, and I just thought it's funny, and we're talking Dead Rising this month, so I tried to order Dead Rising 2 on Amazon. I actually pre-ordered it because I wanted to get it on release day. Well, it still hasn't happened to sum it up, but basically it was delayed a day. Then when I got it, it was the PS4 copy. So they sent me the PS4 copy. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll call them and get it sorted out. I'm just going to refuse to send it back because they screwed it up or whatever. So I call them, it takes a little bit saying, I'm not going to drop this off because, you screwed up, whatever. So like, oh yeah, no problem. And okay, we'll overnight you a replacement. So I look after the phone call in my order history where replacement orders tend to go. I see a picture of Dead Rising 1 for Xbox One. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's wrong. I'll wait and see. Next day, yeah, Dead Rising 1. So I was actually really impressed because the guy I talked to actually called me back the next day to check on it, to make sure it was correct. And so I told him, like, yeah, this is wrong again. He's like, okay, no problem. I'll send you another replacement. So this time it was Dead Rising 2 in my order history. So it comes, and I was in another room or something, and it came to the door, and my wife opened it, and she's like, come look at this. And I thought she had swapped it with the PS4 copy that was on my bookshelf. No, they sent me another PS4 copy. So at this point, I have 1 Dead Rising 1, 2 Dead Rising 2s on PS4. So then,
and you still don't have Dead Rising 2 on.
Still,
on
now
Xbox
we're
One.
almost like 2 weeks in at this point, and so I called them again, of course, and this time they're trying to tell me, no, you got to send it back. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I've already had to call you 3 times, and you've sent me the wrong thing 3 times. Like, I'm not sending it back. So then they sent me another one. It arrived yesterday. I pick it up, and I hear a loose disc. I'm thinking, Xbox One discs don't fall out of the case almost ever, but PS4 discs do all the time. So I opened it up, and what do you know? It's PS4 copy number 3.
What?
So I still do not have Dead Rising 2 on Xbox One.
But you got 3 PS4 copies.
3 PS4 copies,
How
1
does that happen?
Xbox One copy of Dead Rising 1. It must be switched in their inventory, because I don't know. I think Amazon has done it, because I don't know. They keep sending them to me, and I'm not sending. I refuse to send any of them back because I'm not going to the post office 4 times when they can't get an order right. So I didn't call them yet, so I have to do that tomorrow or something. But I almost wanted to say, it's like, hey, can you guys just like refund me and then give me a little extra so I can just go to GameStop and buy it? Because it's clearly costing you way more money. Because I get 20% off on Amazon. So when I buy a new game within like whatever period of release, it's 20% off because I have Prime. So it's like, okay, well, if you refunded me, I still couldn't go to GameStop and get it because it would cost me more. But then it's like, do you want to just give me that 20% and all your troubles will go away? So that's my Dead Rising Amazon Chronicles. I will update next week and see if I have 6 copies on PS4 by then.
Yeah, wow. It's
That's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. But I couldn't on the third one. I just opened it and laughed. Like, because what else can you do? Like, it's just so like just an absolute disaster.
If you actually went to GameStop with those 3 copies and traded them in, would you be able to get your Dead Rising 2?
I did check.
You may as well. You may as well do that.
$8 a copy on PS4.
Wow, is that all?
Yeah. Which I think I'll probably just sell it on eBay because I get much more than $8 a copy on eBay. So that should give me enough to buy Dead Rising 4, though.
All right, other news this week. The new Rare Achievement sound and notification hit preview. We did talk about this last episode, but the actual sound hadn't come out. I don't know if you guys have sort of listened to this at all, but what are your thoughts if you have?
Hate it.
Okay, well, there's no surprise there.
See, it's very long.
Yeah. I would like it a lot more if it wasn't like 90% of achievements.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's another issue which we'll get into a bit later. But the length of it bothered me at first, but then putting it in context with how long the notification actually sits on screen, that is how long the noise goes. So that sort of made more sense to me. The actual current sound versus the notification time are kind of out of sync. So the length of it, bothered me initially, but doesn't bother me now. But I still have to see it sort of in action. And I guess if it's happening for us, for achievement hunters, every 9 out of 10 achievements, it's going to get a bit old. Yeah. I suspect.
Well, but I don't know. The other thing too is like with achievement hunting, the bleep bloop is so iconic. Like the original, well, it's short.
Yeah,
it's
not
still
part of the sound.
I know it is, but it's like now you've got this whole like other 15 seconds of whatever. Yeah, like you could have like 1% of achievements in a game with a minimum of 1 that is rare based on the lowest number of unlocks out of everybody that has it. That seems much better.
It reminds me a little bit of the platinum kind of trophies in the PlayStation games, just having one of them per game. But it's an interesting approach, definitely. It definitely makes them a lot rarer, which is what they're supposed to be.
A lot more satisfying when you actually get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it means something where now it's essentially, to me, it's replaced the old noise because it is such a majority of achievements that I mean, you really are, replacing it without actually replacing it. Personally, I wouldn't care if there was an option to toggle it on and off. Like if you could toggle the diamond, I really don't like that diamond. It is way too distracting. If it was like flat, like the trophy, I'd be okay with it. Yeah, but I don't want it to be sparkly. It's distracting. Like,
you just don't like new things, do you, Grady?
Well, that too.
So shiny.
That too. But it's too shiny. It's going to get annoying. When every achievement is shiny, then they're not shiny anymore. They're just annoying.
Yeah, I think so. The problem is not really the shininess, and it's not really the noise. It's the frequency.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Freem was actually saying in our private chat that he has some info that the achievement rarity stuff is actually going to be tweaked a bit. So the achievement rarity stuff will probably become more rare. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. This isn't the final. It isn't the final form of achievements, so to speak.
That's why it's in the preview program.
Mm-hmm. And I was kind of anticipating that too, that they were going to do something, because I kind of am guessing they didn't really look at the numbers when they pushed that out, and they're like, 10%, that's rare. And then you realize that, I'm sure you have the actual number now, Jack, but it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is quite a lot. But again, it's part of a preview program, so it's not finalized and it is subject to change. So I imagine they will be doing some tweaking and some modification to it.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Isn't it like 57% or something of the achievements are rare?
Yeah, currently.
Yeah, so just on that, TA actually did recently add the achievement rarity to the website. So, Jack, did you want to talk about that a bit? You've probably just gone through it, I think, on your own podcast, but we're here now.
We can chat about it, definitely. So I coded it all yesterday. Actually, it was a bit of an afternoon project. So I just decided to add it, and there's not too much to say, really.
Achievement rarities on TA.
Yeah,
woo!
So it's basically on TA. So if you do look at an achievement that is rare, you'll get a little diamond icon next to it. And we're displaying the Microsoft value and our value on the page for percentages of unlocks as well. So that's quite interesting. So it's a little bit of a comparison between our community and theirs. Well, the wider Xbox community, I should say.
Yeah, and it probably shows a few flaws in the algorithm as well for Xbox anyway. Did I haven't actually checked yet, but did things like the Simpsons game turn up with its 85% for press start to play?
So the 360 stuff isn't actually in any of their APIs yet. So
really? So that's interesting. So
again,
it's definitely
they're still finalising, working on it, and subject to change. So.
Yep. All right. There's probably not much more to talk about on the achievement rarity stuff then. UHH is ongoing. Are you sort of dealing with the algorithm directly yourself, or is that mostly Rich?
It's mostly Rich, but I've had some dealings over the past few weeks. So he was away this Monday and last Monday, and we had some issues with stuff running. So a little bit of a mess, but got there in the end. Everyone got matched up and everything happened on time. So
yep. Yes, the first week was the super hard week. The second week's certainly been a lot easier. I think UC was going to revert to the previous. What was that, Joe?
I went
easier.
I have to 100% Unravel this week. I had to 100% LA Noire last week. My lists are always hard because I play RPGs.
So it is now using the same, pretty much exactly the same algorithm as the previous contest for the matching. So we had increased the number of hard achievements, number of medium achievements, and the number of easy achievements you could, or I say increase the hard and medium so that you could get in the list, which is what caused the first ones to be so difficult. But from the community feedback, we've kind of rolled that back, and we may make some changes to it in the near future to kind of try and find a happy medium between the two, because some people were complaining in the first week, complaining the lists were too hard, which is a fair criticism. And this week we've got quite a few people saying the lists are too easy. So almost need a middle ground. But
the puddings.
I got one of those first week.
How did that term even start? I sort of started following the thread, and all of a sudden, people who were getting zeros were just started being called puddings, and I was kind of like, where did this come from? Like,
no idea. But when I was writing the FAQ today, I said if they get 3 zeros in a week, then they're a triple chocolate pudding. I was writing it at lunchtime. I was hungry. I don't know. I don't remember where it came from.
Eat the pudding.
Yeah, and everyone kept saying posting YouTube videos, which I didn't watch.
Some of those were pretty funny. All right. How's everybody's UHH going, by the way, just as a side note?
I have a question for Jack on my UHH. Did you rig my week? Because I got matched up with Freem. It seems like a bit of an odd coincidence.
No, that's purely coincidental.
But Big L got matched up with Matriarch, so that's even more funny.
So
although that one sort of makes sense because they would have a very very close matching game collection, I would say. But
yeah.
So your plan to try and take Freem down then in this? Yeah, or are you going to let him win?
I mean, I've got a whopping 2 achievements. I think he's still in Mexico, so I think he's got like 1 day to beat me or something. So it's probably gonna be a win for me. But I'll put a couple more up, get a few more points. But I don't know if I'm gonna make it to week 4. I don't know.
I'm planning
2
on doing
wins,
that.
but I've only popped 3 achievements in both weeks. So we'll see. Everything 16 of 20 achievements this week were from games I haven't started. Which I was really not happy about.
Beauty of using the game collection and organising it as well.
Well, see, I did, but I didn't have enough achievements without it, so I had to put in a bunch of games I hadn't started, and then it just keeps picking those. So and then my few achievements that I do have are all really hard. So I have like I don't know, something hard in Gunstringer. I have something like finish Connected Ventures, like all the single player stuff, and then get 500k in Geometry Wars, which is actually a funny coincidence because I was competing with Freem in Geometry Wars for that achievement, and now it's in our UHH list.
Coincidentally, I have that achievement on my list as well this week.
See, it's rigged.
Yep.
I got the 100k one on mine.
Wow.
That's easy. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
So my first week was full of
points.
visual novels and Lego games, which I'm not a huge fan of Lego games.
Awesome.
I used to enjoy them loads in the past, but I've just kind of lost the love for them. But the visual novels are just easy peasy, aren't they? Just follow a text tutorial if you can find one.
Mostly. Some of those can get a bit tricky with the choices and depending what you need to do. But yes, yeah.
Well, that was part of the issue. So I had to get a couple of specific achievements, and I find it difficult enough finding which disc to actually put in the console, let alone unlocking a specific achievement. But
I know
I ended up playing through a couple of them to completion, and ended up playing through a couple of them to completion just because I didn't kind of want to lose track of where I was in the story or make the wrong choices when I come back to it.
That's fairly sensible.
You're getting
it's
really
fairly sensible, but it also
novels.
cuts out the number of achievements I've got in the next potential rounds of the UHH. So
well, as long as you keep it above 1500, you're fine. Yeah. I matched up against a friend of the show, actually. So shout out to Posty when you catch up to listen to this one. So I actually have a competitor this week. I'm really pleased, but also really tired and have some quite long achievements. I'm just very slightly ahead, but he seems to be going for the get 100% in Unravel, which is no way. And heck, I'm going to manage to do that this week. So I'm just trying to overwhelm them on numbers.
Yeah, I think I managed to score myself a pudding this week.
You were nearly a pudding this week.
All right, so moving on a bit, we've got some questions from various places around the community. So I guess the first and simplest one to go through is your gamertag origin, Jack.
Yep.
Somebody asked because it's actually Alclean92201 asked because it only just clicked with me and may or may not have relevance to his gamertag choice. Did the name WebChimp come from a strong interest in spider monkeys?
I wish it did, but it didn't. It was just alias I started using on the internet back in the day. It was like my first website I set up, and it was like WebChimp. That was back, must have been about 8 or something. But I just ended up using that, and I kind of stuck with it. Then tacked a UK on the end of it for some reason on the Xbox, and it's just stuck with me.
Was the original WebChimp actually taken? Or
I don't think it was, but I was actually looking to change it in the last when they freed up the gamer tags on Xbox, the ones that weren't used. I was after the gamer tag Web, and interestingly, somebody took it, but their payment failed, so now it's left in limbo until they start to release gamer tags again. So, but slightly annoying. But I might be able to grab that in the future, though. I do have a WebChimp US counterpart, and I have a WebChimp JP, and I also have the account AAAA WebChimp UK, so I can appear at the tops of people's friends lists.
So that's part of the reason I have ZZ, because I can appear at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I have to scroll. Well,
we're the cool kids at the back of a bus, aren't we?
Yep.
See, it was annoying when we were trying to do all that Dead Rising, inviting and failing. And
scroll.
Trying to get into a lobby that just doesn't work.
It was more annoying because of the persistence of the offline mode. I didn't realise I was still appearing offline.
Yes.
Oops.
That also did not make it easy.
You mark people as favourites, then they appear at the top.
That's a good idea. I didn't know that was a thing.
That's what I use.
That's too much of a sensible idea. It makes
Crazy
it too
talk.
easy. I want a random list in a random order.
Well, then you want to be on the preview program
just...
because it keeps on resetting every 3 seconds.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I tell it to sort one way, I switch off my Xbox, I turn it back on again, it's back on the original way. It's driving me nuts.
See, this is why I don't do previews. I don't like it. That's why I never update Skype, ever. Sometimes it forces it. It won't let me do something and I have to, and I'm really upset about it for like 6 months.
So you're on a version that has security vulnerabilities, hey? Just 1 second.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, you're not going to get much if you hack my Skype account. I mean, there's like 100 contacts or something that never sign in. That's about all you're going to get.
Send some Nigerian spam to you. I've got another question from Ben Moot over on the True Console Discourse channel. Now we sort of went through this a lot with Rich when he was on the show, but I just wondered if you had some unique perspectives on it. The difficulties of running such a large tracker and keeping up with new demand or with user demand, basically. So I guess sort of more generally, that's about what it's like managing a site for so many users and what are the challenges.
It's not too bad, to be honest. I suppose I've kind of obviously came in the kind of midpoint of its life. So it's been around for years before I've turned up. I've just strolled into pretty much a developed site. But it's, I suppose there are two different aspects you can look at. There's obviously the scanner and the kind of data side of it. So in terms of database, for the amount of storage we need, the scanners and how they scan users, how many scanners we need to be running to make sure people are scanned promptly. And there's the whole community side of it, managing the forums, the structures there. That's obviously all custom code for our forums. So the beauty of it is we can do what we want, but it's sometimes not as easy to do what we want because we've got to build up the initial kind of data structures from nothing and design all from scratch. But it's not too bad. It's obviously just it's a bit weird, just Rich and myself working on it. So we're the sole developers at the minute.
Yep. And that would have been interesting coming in where Rich was the sole developer.
Yeah. So when I turned up, there was another developer working, although he left last year. So, but it it gelled really well when I turned up. I think because I was already looking at the kind of Microsoft APIs, I was already quite heavily invested in that, and I had my own scanners up and running to scan information.
I think this was just around when the Xbox One was initially coming in, wasn't it? Or when those APIs were just starting to appear? Yeah, so I was quite just interested in what data I could discover, really. But I use that to kind of find new achievement lists. That's one of the kind of core reasons I still run my stuff now. And then I can feed those directly into TA, stuff like that. So, and send millions of emails out to annoy people like Tarragon, who's on the mailing list for it. Actually, it doesn't really annoy me at all. It's quite interesting seeing some of those weird and wacky ones come through, and you're sort of going, what the?
Definitely. But that kind of core initial work, it fed into a lot of stuff I do on TA now. So my scanners are written in an entirely different language. So I use Ruby on Rails for them because I wanted to learn something new.
Okay.
So I thought, why not just use it for a project and see if it'd work? And they've now been running successfully for a couple of years, I think. So, but that kind of informs the stuff that we can do with some of the some of the data I'm pulling back's different to stuff we'd use on site. But it can inform what we do in the future.
Yeah,
so it's pretty good.
All right. Prince from the True Console Discourse channels had some questions as well, which I thought were interesting. What would you most like to add or improve to the site? And I guess the addendum on that would be, but can't, and why? So maybe make that a two-parter. So if there's something you most want to do on the site at the moment, and is there something that you want to do to the site but can't?
I think one of the things I'd love to do, but it's just totally unfeasible, is change the code base to a different language. So that's a massive move there.
Yeah.
The language we use at the minute is quite good, but I come from a C++ and C# background. And a lot of kind of improvements have been made to C# over the years, and I think they could bring a lot of benefits in terms of development, especially development time.
But so I think it's all written in change. It's all written in like Visual Basic, Visual Basic. So, which is a bit always kind of made me go, "What the?" Well,
because it's been around for ages and ages and ages. So, if that's the language you've used from the start, it's difficult to change that, especially with the lifespan of a site as it is. But there's a lot of kind of custom classes or custom DLLs underneath that manage interactions with databases and stuff like that. So. Be quite tricky.
I guess the approach to that thing might be to look at it as a service and something that you call. So it's kind of like a microservice, I guess. And you can write your new consumer, I guess, of that service in a new language and have the API or whatever written in the original language and gradually move things over that way. It's one way to tackle it, I guess.
Yeah. That's actually what I tend to do, some custom stuff for the scanner I've done. If possible, I'll always wrap everything up into a DLL and just write it in C#. So find that a bit easier. But that'd be a huge change there. Definitely unfeasible, but definitely something I'd love to do as well.
Yeah, but I need to take a few years off to get that done, I think.
I think it'd be a fresh start almost.
Yeah.
Almost run both side by side and build the other one up to where the original is, and then swap them over in one switch.
And do nothing, add nothing new to the site in the meantime, and hope nothing breaks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's the trouble.
Yeah.
What development time for a little payoff?
Yeah. So it's basically So add the entire site as tech debt. Not a great idea. So what project have you most enjoyed working on?
That's another tough one. I've done so much. So because we're quite a small team, we obviously delve into loads of different areas. So it's not always just about code. And I'm quite partial to a bit of Photoshop and Illustrator, making vectors and graphics and stuff. So that's one of my, I suppose, in terms of what we've added to the site, though, there's a lot. We did the game collection last year. That was a good one.
That's been a very popular feature.
Yeah, that was quite a lot of code as well. It's all Ajaxed up quite nicely. Looks quite nice. Still a couple of improvements we could make to it, I think. But I think it serves a good purpose, does its job for the minute. The ultimate head-to-head stuff, that's been really fun to work on. Especially from a design perspective as well. It's quite fun creating the writing the markup to kind of output the lists and working on some fresh pages. It's kind of, this is a display format we haven't used anywhere before, so it's not just copying and pasting and tweaking, it's just starting from scratch. That's quite nice. But those are probably the two biggest things I've enjoyed working on, the game collection and the ultimate head-to-head stuff.
Yeah,
really fun.
I know Joe had a question earlier in our private chat about the UHH algorithm. Just the way that weighting works. I know Rich has done quite a lot of work in just how matchups work. I just want to sort of delve into that a bit if you have some more information on that, because it is quite interesting how that all works and the adding up and the weighting and so forth. I think I read a post about it a while back.
Yeah, so to give a bit of an overview, basically every player is given a match score, an achievement match score against every other player in the contest. So we're checking everybody against everybody, which is why it takes quite a while in the initial periods, especially when we're matching one person against 1,900 other people. From that we get a score, and the score is based on the number of matched games across their locked achievements, the similarity in locked achievements for each game, and the number of locked achievements in each game. And we work out it's a value there, and we call the perfect score a value of 40. So 40 means you've got the same games and same locked achievements, same unlocked achievements. So 40 is a perfect match, and that's the best you could hope for. And as you get lower, the matches get worse and worse, but we have some other stuff built into place. So if we get a match below a certain score, we'll go back through and try and match you with other people to see if we can kind of balance it out a bit so people get fair lists. But we start pairing people up for the lowest best match, and then we remove those people from the pool of gamers that we're pairing people against, and we keep going through until we've matched everybody.
So do you have any matches? Sorry, I was just going to say, do you have any matches that are actually 40?
Yeah, quite a few. Get loads. So I want to remote onto my PC and check, but my keyboard's too loud. Yeah, so we do get quite a lot of matches for 40. But I can't give you any examples off the top of my head now. But in terms of the matches themselves, for picking achievements, as soon as we've got a gamer matched and we've matched up the games, we then know what achievements we can pick, because what they've got unlocked, what they haven't got unlocked, and they're already in a pair at that point. And we'll just go through the list of achievements and we'll randomly pick based on ratio. So we define some levels of ratio and kind of saying this is a hard achievement, this is an easy achievement, and this indicates it's a medium achievement. And we'll pick kind of 3 hard achievements, 7 medium, 10 easy. That'll form the basis of the list.
I'm kind of curious on that because I've seen some lists where I think this was actually notorious through the first round. I saw someone post their list and there was nothing that was actually above a 2.0 ratio. And
in the first round, we obviously have a different algorithm running, so people are getting much harder lists. And at that point, we were picking more hard achievements, more medium achievements, and more easy achievements potential. So we lowered, heightened the larger figures and lowered the smaller ones. But the match obviously depends. So that was probably a bad match. Because worst case scenario, you get into a match and you can't get 3 hard achievements, you can't get 7 medium achievements. So all of the achievements end up as easy. Because we've got to fill them in some way.
So that's why I keep getting screwed.
Yeah, that's
you've obviously got all the easy achievements in your game.
I added a whole bunch of brand new ones. No one's picked them yet. But anyway, I'm not complaining. Carry on.
It's interesting to contrast that to the way I do the random to-do list over on Z2Z, which is I don't weight the achievements by ratio per se. I just I take the entire list ordered by ratio and then pick from the percentile ranges of their entire list. And so that way you pick one from the top 10% of available ratio achievements, and that's considered their hard achievement and that sort of thing. Is that the sort of would you consider using that sort of algorithm in future, or is it purely a ratio thing?
I think that's a good approach. I think this was just so I wasn't heavily involved with the code for this at that point, but I don't know if this was kind of the first approach Rich picked or the approach that seemed best, but a lot of stuff for us comes down to the speed at which we can do it as well. So matching these gamers up at the minute, it's taking... we're building matchup scores currently for the last period, and that's been running for almost 16 hours.
Oh,
so it gives you an idea. And actually matching people up and creating the list, that's a good 3-hour job, probably. That hasn't gone right for the first 2 weeks. So I can't really give you a proper stat for that. That'll obviously decrease as people get knocked out, so it's not too much of an issue.
I guess during the group stages, it's going to be a pretty persistent time.
Rich has done quite a lot of optimization work this week, actually, and managed to lower quite a lot of the times, which is great. So it should be a bit quicker from a processing point of view.
Need to get more clouds on it.
Yeah, get more clouds, definitely.
Yep.
Well, there is a cloud here,
Not that kind
of
cloud.
Get processing, Randy.
You have to send.
Get your thinking cap on.
The clouds to TA office.
I don't have my processing keyboard, my new loud clicky one.
I'll just make sure that comes with Dead Rising 2.
Make sure it's on PS4. That's all I need.
Yep.
We definitely need to make sure that's in your next Ultimate head-to-head matchup. All of your achievements can be Dead Rising 2.
Yes. It'll never get here.
We'll use the PlayStation 4 copy, though. We'll give you a chance.
Oh, okay. So I'll get trophies and I'll get achievements.
Yeah.
Yep.
With your non-existent PlayStation 4. That one.
Absolutely.
Totally fair.
Completely.
So the last question I had from Prince was, what part of the site would you like to see users use more? And conversely, which part are you pleased to see people actually use?
I think there are quite a few parts of the site, really. I think we're a pretty big community, so everybody uses things in different ways and ways you wouldn't expect them to.
Yes.
But one of the key features, you could say it's kind of both ways, but gaming sessions. I think loads and loads of people use them. They're really beneficial, really great. Nice to be able to kind of get a group of people together and work on specific achievements, like-minded people, and kind of form new friendships. But there are a lot of people that probably don't know about gaming sessions as well, because we offer so much stuff on site. It's quite a minefield, really, of features.
Mm.
So it's, I suppose you could. I'd like to see people that aren't utilising gaming sessions utilise them. Is a better way of putting it. So I think they're missing out big time.
Yeah, I wonder if that might get a little bit more exposure now with the LFG stuff coming to Xbox.
Yeah,
and perhaps not. But
yeah.
But I guess there will be a lot of crossover. I guess with achievement hunters in particular using LFG as well as boosting sessions. Possibly to augment it.
Yeah.
So there might be a bit more of a word out that way.
It might kind of open people up that didn't actively know about boosting sessions, open them up to the idea of kind of getting together with a group of people and playing, and that could be good.
All right, I guess just going back to one question earlier, and that was about improvements and so forth to the site. And you mentioned the game collection. Now, I've actually got a slight pet peeve about the game collection, which I wanted to raise. And it's not actually with the game collection itself. It's with the fact that what it replaced has not gone away. And I think that's actually led to a bit of confusion with some people because they have the old games view and they go there expecting to find game collection stuff and wondering what people are talking about with removing games from their collection and so forth. So I'm just wondering if there were any plans to kind of retire the old games view in favour of the games collection, because I think that would be a benefit.
I can kind of see why it'd be beneficial, but I think there potentially some reasons for it to stick about. So the thing I quite like about it is it's literally just the games you've played, you've got on your tag, the My Games page anyway, whereas the collection is obviously everything, which can get a bit confusing. And one of the big questions we get a lot is people, we automatically check the exclude not owned box on the game collection, and that confuses loads of people. So almost I'd say the My Games list is a bit of a simplified game collection. It's almost what you want to see there and then, potentially.
Yeah, I guess if that's the case, I would argue that you should get rid of it and make that link essentially a different filter view of the game collection itself. Yeah. So if you're expecting people to be able to see all games, then that's sort of their all games view, and then you have another link through to their game collection, excluding what they don't own and that sort of thing. Yep. I guess the problem is I find that the game collection, the My Games view, all of the functionality in that is actually in My Games collection. Yeah. So it seems a bit odd to have this kind of redundancy.
The show all button is not there. Just a nitpick.
I never clicked that button because it would take too long.
It would probably break the site as well.
I think you have too many for it to pop up because it only shows up for less than 10 pages.
Okay,
so I don't think you have a show all button anymore.
Okay, so I can't DOS myself. It's all right. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like the My Games kind of for the reason that Jack was mentioning, where it's kind of because it's simplified and doesn't have all of the extra menus and stuff that the collection has. I find it much easier to look at it and sort it quickly to figure out what's the next game I'm going to play.
Yeah. So I guess,
but that being said,
I guess my issue with,
I get your point too, where if you added basically that simplified interface and integrated the collection stuff into that as well, I could see combining them.
The other thing as well is I find new improvements and filters and things like that, they will get added to the game collection side of things, but they don't get retrofitted to the legacy My Games page. So you end up with a bunch of functionality that you want to use, and if you went to My Games, you can't use that functionality, and that's sort of it makes sense because that's the legacy part of the site, but I sort of think, maybe the legacy side needs to be, if there's a need for that particular view or that particular set of function, that should be wrapped into the new code essentially and made official, so to speak. And that way there's also no confusion, because I've had times where people have gone, how do I remove a game from my collection? And the problem will be is because they don't even know the game collection page exists, because they've always got My Games and things like that. Or and there's also things like hiding games as well. I believe you can hide games from one, you can't hide games from another, and people think hiding games is removing from collection. That sort of confusion is what seems to come up a lot, particularly when UHH and other competitions like it come up. Yeah,
so I think you mentioned obviously the word legacy, and that's it's difficult to let go of some things sometimes, isn't it? Especially if it's been a staple part of the site for so long. But one of the other reasons I do quite like the My Games collection is the right panels that are present on it as well. So it has your boost list on there, it has your upcoming gaming sessions. So you can see a list of all your games and your upcoming sessions, your to-do list, and other stuff. And obviously we don't have the space for any right panels on the My Game collection page because of how it functions as a table. And the columns are dynamic, so we can't really... Well, we could measure the width of it and potentially do something, but it'd just make the usable area probably a bit too small. So...
Yeah, I wonder if you could do things like optional highlights on games that you're boosting. So if you're looking through your game collection, you can have some little notification or something just to say, I'm boosting this game soon, or it's on my boost list.
An icon or just a column or...
or just a different color or something like that, just to highlight that sort of thing. So, anyway, there's certainly lots of ways to integrate and work out those kind of issues. So just it's been sort of sitting there for a couple of years now. I'm kind of going, is this going away or what? And every time somebody asks about it, it kind of goes, oh, that thing again. All right.
This goes back to the moving code bases, a fresh start.
Yeah.
Get rid of all the stuff that potentially isn't needed, all the redundant stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard to do. I know.
Yeah, definitely.
We've been in my own work where we're slowly moving, and this is going to get very, very techie and nerdy, but we're slowly moving our front end over to React.
Okay.
So React is a huge, just for people who don't know, it's a JavaScript framework, because there's not that many of those around. It's a JavaScript framework that's becoming sort of popular at the moment. It's written by Facebook. It's very snazzy, and does lots of very nice things with the way the views work. But of course, if you've got a legacy setup and view, like we run our platform on Ruby on Rails, and it's got an old sort of JavaScript platform and pipeline there, having to migrate everything over has been a bit of a challenge. So, and particularly some of the more complex parts of our site. So I guess I can certainly relate to having to deal with a lot of legacy code whilst you're moving to a new code base, and a lot of the challenges that kind of brings up. Yeah. Speaking of just getting into the nerdy kind of thing, have you you've been adding a few nice things that are sort of Ajaxy or more sort of less page reload. Yeah, more dynamic. That's the word I'm looking for. Is the plan to sort of gradually move more of the site over to that, or is it just sort of you doing it as new features are added?
So the way we've got in our code base, we have different controls, and we have, especially for some of the, we've got a lot of lists around the site, so it makes sense to have a list control. We have a class that you can inherit, which is Ajax list base. So we're not kind of actively developing that. We add new things as we need it to that. But if we're creating a new page and it does have a list on it, we'll tend to use the Ajax list, which it works in some respects well. Obviously, you're not reloading the entire page, you're just getting the data you need. But there are a couple of other things we probably need to tweak to make it a bit more user-friendly, like outputting page numbers in the URL as parameters.
Yeah, yes, I was going to say that having deep links into those kind of things would be handy, or even filtered views. If I could actually pass a link which would give somebody a view of my game collection, which is just Xbox games, for example, or something along those lines, that'd be really handy. So those sort of things would be kind of nice. So, I noticed in my own. Sorry,
I was going to say you can do that, but you've got to know the. It's a little bit crazy how you've got to do it, because the Ajax interprets the parameters in a certain way, and if you have a play around with it, you'll be able to figure it out, I think.
Yeah, I have tried and not been successful. I think what I've been able to do is get the result of the Ajax call, but not the actual surroundings of it. So I can certainly make that query, but I can't get the full page for whatever reason. So it's just probably just the way the parameters go through. What was I going to say? Just on that, I notice as well, and this is again, sorry, getting into the really technical end, your responses actually come back as full HTML a lot of the time, rather than being, say, an API response, like just a low detail.
This is for the Ajax stuff, sorry.
Yeah. So say the game say for the game collection, if you make the like a query for the second page of the game collection and it refreshes in your browser, it's actually returning the full HTML of that particular code, rather than say just the details into like an array or something like that, which then gets processed. That might reduce some overheads and so forth.
The ideal scenario for that is to potentially use something like handlebars. Which is another JavaScript library.
And Mustache.
Build
a template from that and then just pass JSON back and run it straight through that. That'd be a neat solution. But again, it's kind of down to the way the code base is at the minute, and we literally make the Ajax request and just chuck it straight onto the page. That makes it quite quick and easy, and there's no kind of customization in terms of we don't have to know what columns we've got. We can just chuck anything out we wanted. So if I went and tweaked the Ajax request stuff now to, say, on the game collection page, output the my games list, if that was Ajax stuff, it could just dump that data straight in and work. So it's kind of nice from that respect, just dumping it in, but there is a bit of overhead that comes with that, definitely.
Yeah, this is overhead, and there's also you lose a bit of flexibility too, because I guess if you just had the pure API, then it means adding new themes and things like that is just a matter of how you process the template, rather than having to modify the backend server as well and modify how the backend returns the results. So there's a few benefits to that,
and totally, because if you do it in JSON, then it's easier for me and Tarragon to steal our achievement lists.
Not that we would ever do. It's
with less load on your servers.
Well, yes, there is that. All right. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about, Jack? I've sort of run out of questions.
Vampire volcanoes.
Yes.
Most important topic of the day. No, I don't think there's anything else, but if you think of any other questions, just shoot away, fire away.
Yep. Anybody else got any questions?
Well, I have a question, but it's probably not a podcast question.
Okay. Is this about that PM you sent me the other day?
Yeah, it's totally about the PMs. When are you going to sort out the UK
I'll add your PMs in a second after this podcast. I've been swamped with stuff recently, so I just have kind of not been around as much as I should have been internally, but hey.
That's fine. I know, I was just teasing.
I have now read your PM, so that's step 1.
Well, step 3 is
Progress.
profits, so, you know.
Yeah. I don't know what step 2 is, though.
That's the puzzle.
Yeah.
Randy, you have some knobs and discos for us this week.
I do. This week, there's a few. Zenith, the diplomacy speech, defeat 500 enemies in brackets.
So you've got to get a bit more oomph into that. So it's got the question marks and the exclamations. Diplomacy speech. There we go. That's
defeat 500 enemies is unobtainable.
Right.
Oh.
And
unobtainable.
Yes.
The
developer's aware and looking into it. Next, Kick and Fennec, the gear collector achievement was fixed. So that's a bonus.
That's why I started seeing people completing that on my.
They fixed it.
Right.
And this is not really a knob and disco, but it's kind of a PSA that's kind of related. Professional Farmer was patched, so don't start it unless you have the disc. Because now you actually have to play it. Unfortunately,
can't use that money glitch.
So I'll be buying a disc.
Just rent a disc.
Yeah, but there's nowhere to rent it. It was not released in North America, so it's an import.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You
it was.
Keep
I mean, you
ordering
can buy
Dead
it.
Rising
You can buy
and
it
see
on
if
the
they send it
market.
to you.
Yeah, Professional Farmer. Okay.
Yeah, ask them for Farming Simulator to see if they'll send you Professional Farmer instead.
I might be able to save some money. We'll see. So no, that's it though. Just those 3 this week. Well, 2, sort of 3, right. 2.5.
Yep. Okay. I guess another thing we can add to that, actually, that just came up, Touchdown Hero on Windows 8 just became live enabled. So if you've completed Touchdown Hero on your phone and you have the Windows 8 version and you've already got it, as in you've downloaded it and tried to play it and didn't get any achievements, there's a bit of a convoluted way to actually get this to pop those achievements. But it involves deleting it and doing a little bit of other work, but you can get it to work now. So just a PSA for people. If you haven't already downloaded it and you've done the Windows Phone version, you can of course get all the achievements with a bit of mucking around. It's a GameLoft game, isn't it? So
no,
Game Troopers. Yeah.
Game Troopers. Okay, so either one of those. It's always a lot of muck around to get achievements working in those, I think. That's about it, I think. All right, so we'll be moving on to shovelware shortly. Do you know what's on this week in shovelware?
I do. Let me check my list.
Oh, I just suddenly...
I know off the top of my head. Hack, Slash, and Backstab and Solar Shifter EX.
Right. Sorry, Joe?
It just suddenly occurred to me why people might be calling them puddings. Because they're a piece of cake.
I suppose.
That makes so much sense. I'd run through every other scenario in my head.
I don't get it.
Okay.
Just think of the rain clouds, Randy. Just think of the rain clouds.
Okay.
Sorry, just having epiphanies over here.
Shovelware Cemetery.
All right, this week's Shovelware Cemetery, we have 2 games again, as usual. We have Solar Shifter EX and Hack, Slash, and Backstab. So unfortunately, we had some problems with Hack, Slash, and Backstab, and I was unable to download it for some reason. Not quite sure why. So Damien will be covering that one solo, but I did get a chance to play Solar Shifter, and we will start with that one. It is published by Head Up Games and developed by Elder Games, and it is a Xbox Live store price of $9.99 or regional equivalent.
Yep. So I had some hope for this when I had first played it, because I'm now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I am magnificent at the style games, but there's something about just that style that, there's
They're usually fun.
I can pick it up, I can go get, I'm all about getting your upgrades and just shoot. I don't know, I like blowing up lots of ships. I think it's fun. I think of what is it, not R-Type, Raiden.
Yeah.
And there's another one I still have to finish on Shoot One Up on Windows.
Oh, I didn't ever play that. I've owned it forever, but I've never played it.
Oh, that's fun. I just had to do the one last two. But I like those kind of, I guess, almost like a bullet hell, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess that goes to, it is a shoot 'em up, and there's not a whole lot of variation. And there's a reason for that, as I found out with Solar Shifter, or was kind of reminded of. There's a reason that they all look like they're from the 90s. It's because if you change that, they become impossible to play, and that was the big issue I had with Solar Shifter. Is it uses a 3D background and a rotating camera that just kind of rotates for no apparent reason, and it's very difficult to tell when it's rotating. So you not only have the camera fighting against you, you also have this busy 3D background with lots of depth that is constantly changing, and it's the same style appearance as the bullets. So I just found myself constantly dying and not even realizing that I had been hit, because you couldn't see the bullets properly. And when you're playing a shoot 'em up, I mean, at least for me, I'm not looking at where my ship is. I'm looking at where the bullets are and where my bullets are going. And in addition to not being able to see the enemy's bullets, I didn't know when I was making contact with any of the enemy ships either, because of the camera.
Yeah, and that for me was also a big, issue. I usually, I gravitate, especially if it's I'm always in center, right? Like as you said, so I just follow the bullets. I'm not looking at where am I playing it. I just figure I'm on center.
Yeah, so, exactly.
And so, this was the inverse. So I'm almost spending more time trying to focus on my ship to dodge the bullets, and then hence when I was firing, I wasn't hitting anything, and it was like, but
sometimes you were hitting things, but you didn't know you were hitting things because there's no indication that they're being hit, and you can't tell where your bullets are going because the camera's on an angle going sideways or on some weird curve looking angle. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, just it's a genre that's had there's been a lot in that genre, and I just didn't really find this game.
It's like it was made by somebody who wasn't familiar with the genre and why all of the games look the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really familiar with it either, but I mean, I have played, the really hardcore shoot 'em up games. I'm not good at them, but I understand, playing games like Guitar Hero and realizing when they come out with a game like Guitar Hero Aerosmith where you can't see the notes on the highway, it makes it very frustrating. And when Planting was here the other weekend, we were playing some Guitar Hero Aerosmith, and I remembered why I absolutely hate that game, because it's really frustrating to play, because it's not hard because the skill level is high. It's hard because you can't tell what's going on, and it makes it very frustrating and not fun to play because of that. And I think this game kind of had that same thing, where it's almost like it was built just to look pretty and not be functional, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, and I think on top of it, for the achievement hunters out there, the game does have it has four levels, and three of and there's an achievement to go through each level without getting hit. And the second, third, and fourth level, no hits achievements are glitched. So on top of that, the game's short. Not again, really bad in the genre. It didn't add anything to the genre, and then on top of that, you're going, your achievements don't work. It's just a mess.
And the thing is, too, is you can have a shoot 'em up game that's very short, but has lots of replay value with different difficulties, with different, kind of maybe randomized enemy spawns, something like that. But this has no, as far as I could tell, did not have difficulties. You just play. You just jump in and play. It's just one difficulty. And you have the achievements that don't work. You have kind of the issues. One thing I will give it, though, that I think was a neat addition that unfortunately was also very frustrating. It was a very frustrating mechanic because of the camera, was the ability to teleport instantly without penalty. Like there was no teleport gauge. There was no limit on how many times you could use it. It was something that you could use to avoid bullets if you could see them. It's kind of similar to the bomb mechanic in a game like Death Smiles, where it just clears the screen, but in a way that's like, okay, I know I can teleport to this spot and dodge these bullets instead of having to use something like a bomb that's limited.
Yeah.
Which I liked, but I mean, it wasn't enough to make up for all of the other things that made it frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, again, and this is where I think when we talk about clear out, games that need to get buried because, but this is that I don't see it adding to the genre at the price point for the minimal amount of
price point's not bad. I mean,
it's not bad.
$10 isn't bad.
Well, it's not a bad price. And I mean, I think appropriately priced if they had done a better job. But,
I mean, if you just took out the background, like take out the background, just make it black, that'd be fine.
Yeah, but I mean, you need to do something more. But what you did was just, yeah. So that for me, this would be a bury. Personally, this just better off not being played.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree on that one. It doesn't have enough redeeming features to kind of make up for the things that it's lacking in.
Yeah.
So, I think I'm going to have to go Barry on that one as well.
All right.
Anyway.
So our next title, Hack, Slash, and Backstab, was published and developed by Magic Spell Studios. I keep seeing RIT, which I think is Rensselaer Institute of Technology. I'm trying to remember what the R is. I can look that up just to...
Could be.
Yeah, I thought it was Rensselaer, but I don't want to give credit to the wrong school. But it's a very...
Rochester.
Yeah. New York. Close.
Yeah.
So Rochester Institute of Technology. So this was a student-developed game, and so Xbox Live price point $4.99. So you're not going to don't expect a huge game, and I think that's the best way to put it. So it's a dungeon game where you can have 1 to 4 players, but it's local only. I don't know what it is with all this local only stuff, but man, it's sometimes going, want to think like, thank God I have all the controllers in my house. And this game, for the harder difficulties, it would be nice to have 2 or 3 people that are actively playing.
With the local only in this game, since I wasn't able to play it, I was reading up on it a little bit, and it seems like the developers did that as kind of intentional. Like they wanted, I guess some of the mechanics are much more entertaining when you're playing with other people that are actually in the room with you.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that, and I'm sure the cost of developing a multiplayer mode is substantial when you're a student project and have a very small budget
or not even
no budget. Yeah.
Budget, but timeline, because a lot of times if you're trying to bang this out for a class or for in a semester project, you don't have like, I got a year of debugging to do. Like, nope, don't have it. So just make it for a little. So again, understandable. So the game is literally one dungeon, and you have the objective is to get to the exit portal. And there will be bosses along the way, and you pick one of 4 character classes at the beginning. So you would go in, you can either be a warrior, a rogue, a wizard, or I don't remember the other one off the top of my head. Basically, it gets you a color, and if you're playing with 4 people, everybody has to be something different. And you go through the dungeon and to explore it and then to get to the exit portal. Now, one thing that I liked, which oddly why, it has uneven gamer score, which for me, coming up on my milestone and looks like 460 gamer score, I needed to be put back even thanks to that Overcooked game a while back. So I was able to just at least pop the one achievement I needed to even out my score, and then just did everything on the alt. But the game, it's very challenging. Even when you knock it down to the easy mode, if you're playing by yourself, it's not that the controls are bad. They're responsive for what they do, but it's just like you just get swarmed, and you have to be running away from things that are like, when you run away from the enemies, you're faster than the enemies, but not much. And the amount of time you would need, like if you have 30 enemies behind you, you're not going to be able to use your light attack to hit behind you. You'd have to stop, turn, charge your heavy attack, and then release it, but there's like a charge time. So you're sitting there running while more and more enemies start going behind you, going, how am I going to get ahead? So to play it by yourself, you almost have to go slowly at it. So I don't know. It's just
so. Would you call it a dungeon crawler, a beat 'em up? What kind of genre would you put it in?
Well, there's some treasure chests in there, but it's not really a dungeon crawler. It's a hack and slash. It's a very rudimentary hack and slash. It's not bad for the price, and if you're playing it locally with a few friends for $5, yeah, it's a good one-time thing. But it's only one level. Once you get to the end of the dungeon, that's it. It's like game over. You want to play again.
I guess that's the nice thing with that low price point is, you could justify that for, an afternoon. If you had a couple friends over and you wanted something to play, I mean, it's pretty easy to say, hey, let's grab this and, get a few hours out of it, and you could feel pretty good at that price point.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, this is a purgatory game. I mean, for $5, you could play with some friends. It's good. It's not really memorable. It's not bad, but I wouldn't put it into the berry. But as I said, because you could play it with friends, it'd be fun. But if you're just playing it yourself, again, there's nothing.
Not really. Well, and that was what I was reading too, is they kind of just threw on the single player mode as almost a practice mode, it sounded like, where it wasn't really intended to be played single player at all, but they just kind of threw it in as an extra. So, I mean, it is really heavily multiplayer focused, and it is kind of hard. It's hard to be fair with those kind of games too when you don't have a big group of people to play with, but
yeah, maybe if
we can do what we can.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe if we were together and we could, do it in the same thing again, it'd be different. So maybe at PAX.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we could get a bunch of local games and play them at PAX time or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
anyway, with that, I can't have a decision because I didn't play it. So I guess that one will get purgatory. And that should conclude this week's Shovelware Cemetery.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.
Okay, well, that concludes the episode this week. It's been a pretty short show, I'm afraid. But next week we will have Frame back, so we'll see some slightly more extended shows, I'm sure. So thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. We all enjoyed recording it, as usual. Please give us a rating on iTunes or Google Play or your podcast player of choice. It helps us reach more people, and we'd really appreciate that. Our website is z2z.com. That's ZEDTOZED, where you can find show notes, credits, and links to things that we've discussed during the show. You can contact us on Twitter at Z2Z, on our forums at discourse.z2z.com, chat with us on our Discord server, or even email us directly at contact@z2z.com. A quick shout out to all the sites that have made achievement hunting and this podcast a reality, in particular TrueAchievements.com, and of course Jack Watling was a guest on our show today, and of course Microsoft for the Xbox console and creating achievements in the first place. On behalf of Joe, Damien, Randy, and Jack Watling, our guest, this has been Tarragon. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next show.
Add in Noel Edmonds, and then you have nightmares.
So it's like universally accepted that Mr. Blobby is terrifying in the UK.
Yep.
Yeah.
Basically the thing that nightmares are made of.
So you know how we've been hearing, at least Randy, I know, well, I'm sure I've heard about this, all these clown scares. I think that would be infinitely more terrifying if everybody was dressing up as Mr. Blobby.
Because everyone would just be confused. Like, what is this thing? Then it's like that one guy from the UK that's like, there's like 100 Mr. Blobbies outside. I'm not this. Nope.
Yeah, just curl up into a ball and not move if that happened. Actually, it reminds me, there was an amazing Left 4 Dead PC mod I saw a while back, and it changed all of the zombies for Teletubbies. I don't know if that was a thing.
That was in Canada,
Yeah.
Oh.
It was terrifying.
With the noises and everything.
Mod that put My Little Pony in there.
Yes.
Instead of the dragon.
My favorite Skyrim was
Thomas the Tank Engine as well.
That was a good one.
Oh, the Thomas the Tank Engine was good. But there was also one that replaced all the dragon voices with the Macho Man Randy Savage's voice, which was really awesome as well. It's going way back.
What was that one that you sent me that time, Jack? Was it Half-Life 2, where the guy recorded all the sound effects with his voice?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And it was amazing. It's literally every single sound, so bullets hitting wood, bullets hitting metal, and it's phenomenal. Stuff, a legend.
So, yeah, I asked for some questions for Jack on my friend feed, and your UHH opponent has asked whether you're going to be doing any more on UHH this week.
I might give it a miss. No.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they're not going to hear it until Wednesday anyway. So it's like, yeah.
Could always record it after the fact, after I've trounced him. No.
He's going to hear all that trash talking, Jack. What if you guys are paired up in the final round?
That'd be amazing. I've got to make that happen now. I can just get myself visual novels for the rest of the contest. It'll be fine.
I thought you couldn't get paired up with someone you've played before.
Well, if you're the last two.
If they're in the knockout rounds.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The only problem with giving yourself...
Sorry.
The only problem with giving yourself visual novels will be giving your opponent visual novels as well.
Yeah, but see, if they don't own them, no problem.
Yeah,
that might be a bit. That might be a bit suspicious.
I can add things to their collections while they're sleeping.
They should have updated it mid-contest.
Oh no, because then
they should have checked.
Yeah, then they'll come into the question thread and go, oh, but how do I get these games off? And then we'll have to point them towards the FAQ that I wrote today.
And I can just lie and say the games were on the old backup. I've checked the backup. You hadn't removed these games.
But I don't even have a Japanese console.
Jack, I'm back on my peasant keyboard for the recording.
Why are you doing that?
Because I don't know.
What are you doing to yourself?
I don't want to haul the other one in here. It's pretty big and heavy.
Okay. Your crane to lift it into your office or whatever.
Exactly.
That's how you know you've got a proper keyboard.
Yeah. It took 3 UPS guys to get it in the house.
You had to take out the front window, yeah.
There it is again.
Sorry.
10:30 there, right?
Yes, it is 10:30 p.m. in the evening.
Put that one in there for Big L.
Yep, you can put that one in the outtakes. I totally didn't realise I'd said that, and I feel foolish.
10:30 p.m. for the evening.
Well, I said 3 a.m. in the morning in the last podcast. So.
Yeah. I always get confused whenever people type time not in like military format, not 24-hour format. It's like the other day when
especially when it's before 12 o'clock.
Well, Randy was messaging me about a session. He's like, "Yeah, okay, it's 6 your time." I was like,
Which
"What?"
6?
It's way past 6 a.m. my time.
Do you guys not use like AM PM in the UK or something?
We do use AM PM, but you didn't put AM or PM on that message.
Well,
I think you just typed 6.
I mean, I just assume it's like. I mean, I guess I shouldn't assume it's normal times because you don't really have normal times.
No. Well, our times get even more unnormal in a couple of weekends because the clocks go. Is it backwards or forwards?
Backwards. We get an extra hour in bed.
Fall back.
They go more normal because it's back on GMT.
There was talk a few years ago. It was something they did during the war. They used to do double time. So rather than just going 1 hour forward or 1 hour back, it was 2 hours forward.
What?
Oh, God. Please no.
Mental.
Why would you do that?
So you can get more daylight hours.
You don't need that many daylight hours.
Stop changing the hours.
It was important during the war because obviously, you couldn't have any lights on when it got dark because otherwise people would bomb your house.
Yeah, so.
But since that hasn't happened for a little while, I think, I think maybe we could probably do without it.
I think we're safe.
It depends what happens come October, come into November or whatever it is.
November. Yeah, I suppose you're probably right.
Still waiting for the zombie apocalypse and oh god, I can't say that word. Zombie apocalypse and volcanoes exploding.
What with?
Or is it vampire apocalypse?
With the
vampire volcanoes.
Separates?
Vampire volcanoes.
Or is this something different?
Wait a minute, what is it? What is a vampire volcano? Is that like a volcano that shoots out vampires? Because that seems pretty terrifying.
No one's watching Van Helsing, the new series, are they?
No.
Alright, okay, because the volcano in America, there's like one that's active in the middle of like somewhere. I don't know, my geography's terrible.
Is it Yellowstone?
Probably. It exploded, like volcanoes do, and then there were vampires, and a plague of vampires.
So the vampires came out.
I only know the.
Wow.
No. I haven't got that far. I've only watched 2 episodes. I think it was just a result of because of the ash, and it sort of clogged up the sky and killed the people.
So, I like the idea.
So that's volcanoes.
That's
more terrifying
volcano with like
vampire volcanoes
just spewing out of it into the air,
spewing out and flying all around. Yeah, that's awesome.
And not like scary vampires, like cartoon vampires.
Like the Count from Sesame Street.
Not quite that.
Yes, that's a good one.
Cartoon, like a little bit scary, but mostly cartoon. Like enough to be like, whoa, there's vampires coming out of that volcano.
The only thing worse than that would be a Mr. Blobby volcano.
Oh dear.
That could be terrible.
I would have said a vampire volcano would start spewing blood potentially. That would.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that would be slightly more logical. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, being logical.
That would be messy. Like, just a lot of stains all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be boiling hot blood, so it'll also be painful.
Molten blood.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
I think you should name all the episodes after the Outtakes Tarragon so that no one has a clue why they're called what they're called.
Yeah. That's been the trends over the last few episodes.
Because this one could be the vampire volcano episode.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Add a little fun.
What are vampire volcanoes? Why is it on this Ed to Zed podcast?
It's even funnier if you listen to the entire thing and there's no mention of it in the main show at all.
Joe is sleep deprived, therefore, things are weird.
Yeah, anybody that checks out before the end has no idea why any of the shows are called what they're called. That would be pretty funny.
And then one day I'll just name the show something totally random that's not even mentioned on the show at all.
Yeah, that would be good.
And people are just listening through, like, re-listening through the end part. And then,
Why is it called this?
Like, what?
Nobody even mentioned this. What is happening?
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I go to bed before midnight.
That too.
Which midnight, though? You didn't specify a day, so
Yeah.
this is going to be the
So-
24-hour...
The one that happens in an hour and 20 minutes.
Midnight in the morning. And then midnight in the evening.
Midnight's...
Both.
Within
So if I say
midnight Randy's
midnight
time.
Friday, is that the end of Friday or the beginning of Friday?
Oh, let's not start that. That's
Yeah.
There's
This
not
is
an
why I
answer.
This is why I specify contests ending at 11:59 p.m. on blah.
Okay. I shall be in bed by 11:59 and 59 seconds on Friday the 7th of August in the UK.
Which, daylight savings or regular time?
In the UK. So we're on daylight savings.
Okay. In the UK at what date? All right.
I said the 7th. Oh, come on. I said the 7th of October. No, you're
Which
just pulling
year?
my
When did
leg.
daylight savings start? Yeah.
We had Rich on when it was the week of new features, and we were talking about
that's-
the gaming sessions and the 53 and a half time zones, or however many it was.
That's right, yeah.
23 and
That's
a half,
when
lots of time
I was
zones.
away, I think.
It was,
Yep.
which was why he was let free on the site, because you keep him in check normally, I'm sure.
Yeah, I let him loose, not under my supervision in the office. Bad times.
Otherwise, he deploys stuff without testing it and breaks the site. Sends out 60 million emails.
G'davo, good evening or g'day. Welcome to the Z2Z podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Ozzy Frame, and thank you so much for listening. At Z2Z, we reckon gaming is a bit of all right, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it, mate.